Dr. Joachim Grzega, you have developed a new model of teaching English to beginners, Basic Global English or BGE. Why did you consider it necessary to develop this model?
My self-image as a scientist is that I try to see what are problems in society and what is the contribution that my science and I can make to solve problems, in part at least, or to give parts of an answer to a certain question. And one of the central questions in a global knowledge-based society is how do we communicate interculturally, transculturally, whatever the word is that you prefer. And since English is a very important lingua franca at present, the most widespread lingua franca, and I think that throughout the 21st century English will remain an important lingua franca, I decided to see how I, as a linguist, can offer something for an improved intercultural communication. And then I checked a little bit what is on the market, and I was a little unsatisfied with the teaching material there, because although there are many people who realize that English is a global lingua franca and who say that English should be taught as a global lingua franca, this doesn't seem to have had any consequences in the conception of teaching material. Although it is said in books for learners, for beginners of English, that English is a world language, the situations that are dealt with in the different lessons, units, are placed in the UK or in the US or in Australia. The topics are Christmas in Canada, New Year's Eve in the United States. That's not teaching English as a truly intercultural and transcultural language. I was also dissatisfied with the fact that in many curricula, at least in Europe, you find metaphorical expressions very early in the learning and teaching process, metaphorical expressions that are typically British or typically American, but which might not be understood by somebody from China or Arabic countries. I was also unsatisfied with the huge focus on reproduction during the first chapters, the first month of learning English, and the rather marginal role of truly active, creative language use. I was also unsatisfied the way non-standard forms are dealt with, traditionally called errors. They're not treated with a view to their successfulness in lingua franca situations. And I was also unsatisfied with the fact that many books and many curricula strive for homogeneity in their learner group. And I think that one of the most challenging issues in today's world is coping with the heterogeneity of our learner groups. So that was one point, or one large point. And then on the other hand, I also saw that there are very valuable observations, empirical studies that had already been carried out by other linguists, and I simply wanted to make their observations useful for a broader public. That's why I created Basic Global English.
Okay, what does Basic Global English look like?
The focus is on the acquisition and elaboration of a vocabulary and of communicative strategies, because that's where most of the communicative breakdowns occur, or these are the the sources for communicative failure, less so grammar and pronunciation. That doesn't mean that there's a principle of anything goes, but we look very closely at which grammatical or phonetic forms are successful in lingua franca communications and which have proven to be not successful in lingua franca communication. So, politeness strategies is one central issue, or communicative strategies, I should say, and being polite is one aspect, but another aspect when I'm talking about communicative strategies is emergency strategies. When a communicative breakdown has occurred, how can I solve the problem? What can I do? So BGE doesn't say that anything will work without problems, or everything. It doesn't say that everything will work without communicative discomforts, but it gives you very consciously means to find your way through these obstacles. And communicative strategies also means that you should learn to check whether the message that you wanted to convey is also the message that your interlocutor heard. So this was the part communicative strategies. Then we have the part vocabulary. The vocabulary consists of 750 words that everybody should acquire. These 750 words are frequently used words and frequently needed words, independent of any specific culture. Specific or words related to a specific culture, a specific conceptual field, should be acquired in something that I have labeled individual vocabulary or individual word stock. So every learner should be encouraged from lesson 1 on to learn, in addition to the 750 words, words that have something to do with the learner him or herself, yeah, because these are words from fields that he or she is interested in, that he or she needs professionally, for instance. Yeah? So this reflects very consciously the heterogeneity of learner groups, and these are the components for the beginner's level. And everybody is, of course, free to fine-tune his English later on if he wishes to, and maybe also come closer to a native-like level of English.